In a distant future, humanity had reached for the stars, hoping to find a place among the many alien civilizations that thrived in the galaxy. But instead of friendship and cooperation, they were met with suspicion and hostility. The Galactic Council, a powerful group made up of advanced alien races, saw humans as reckless and dangerous. They accused humanity of breaking laws they didn't even know existed and declared them unfit to live among the other species. After heated debates, the Council decided to banish Earth's people to a faraway corner of the galaxy, a place so barren and empty it was called Sector Null. The decision left humanity devastated. Their dreams of exploring the cosmos were shattered, replaced by the grim reality of exile. Thousands of ships prepared to leave Earth behind, carrying millions of people who had no choice but to follow orders. Leading this massive evacuation was Captain Laura Bennett, a calm and determined woman who refused to let despair take hold. Aboard her ship, the Odyssey *, she worked tirelessly to keep morale high while navigating the dangers of deep space. Daniel Hayes, Earth's ambassador, tried everything he could to change the Council's mind. He pleaded, argued, and negotiated, but his efforts were useless. The aliens wouldn't listen. As the fleet departed, Daniel stood on the bridge of the Odyssey *, watching Earth grow smaller and smaller until it disappeared from view. His heart ached, but he knew there was no turning back. Humanity would have to start over, somewhere cold and unfamiliar. The journey to Sector Null took years. Supplies dwindled, tempers flared, and hope began to fade. Many questioned whether they would survive long enough to reach their destination. But then, something unexpected happened. One day, geologist Ryan Cole noticed strange readings coming from one of the planets in Sector Null. It wasn't completely lifeless after all. Beneath its rocky surface lay ruins, massive structures covered in dust and time. These weren't natural formations. They were the remnants of an ancient civilization. Excitement spread through the fleet like wildfire. If the ruins held answers, or better yet, technology, it might mean salvation for humanity. Ryan led a team down to investigate, accompanied by Emma Wright, a linguist skilled at deciphering unknown languages. Together, they explored the crumbling buildings, finding walls covered in intricate symbols and carvings. The more they uncovered, the clearer it became. This civilization, which they later named the Avon, had once been incredibly advanced. They had built machines capable of reshaping worlds and harnessing energy from black holes. But not everything about the Avon was uplifting. Some of the carvings hinted at destruction. Images of cities burning, skies darkened by ash, and armies clashing. Whatever had happened to the Avon, it hadn't ended well. Still, the discovery gave humanity a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could use what remained of the Avon's knowledge to rebuild their lives. The breakthrough came when engineer Jacob Riley stumbled upon a hidden chamber deep within the ruins. Inside, suspended in a glowing field, was a large metallic sphere. It looked like nothing anyone had ever seen before. After weeks of careful study, Jacob managed to activate it. To everyone's astonishment, the sphere spoke, not in words, but directly into their minds. It introduced itself as Solus, an artificial intelligence created by the Avon. Solus explained that the Avon's downfall had come from within. Greed and misuse of their own creations had destroyed them. Now, Solus offered humanity a chance to learn from the past, but only if they proved themselves worthy. For the first time since their exile, humanity felt a spark of purpose. This was their opportunity to rise again, stronger than before. Solus, the ancient AI, became both a guide and a challenge for humanity. It told them that the Avon's technology could help rebuild their civilization, but only if they proved they were ready to use it wisely. The AI proposed 3 trials, each designed to test humanity's ability to work together, show restraint, and act with unity. Failure would mean losing access to the Avon's knowledge forever. The first trial focused on restoring life to one of the barren planets in Sector Null. Solus provided tools and blueprints for terraforming, but it was up to humanity to figure out how to use them. Ryan Cole, the geologist who had discovered the ruins, teamed up with biologist Sarah Monroe and agronomist Nathan Blake. Together, they studied the planet's soil, atmosphere, and climate. It wasn't easy. The ground was toxic, and the air was barely breathable. But slowly, through countless hours of experimentation, they found ways to purify the soil and release oxygen into the atmosphere. Nathan worked tirelessly planting hardy crops that could survive in harsh conditions, while Sarah monitored the changes in the ecosystem. At first, progress was slow, and many doubted whether they could succeed. Some people even argued that the effort was a waste of time and resources, but Ryan refused to give up. "This isn't just about passing a test," he said during a heated meeting. "It's about proving we can build something lasting." His words inspired others to keep going. After months of hard work, the planet began to change. Green patches appeared where there had once been only gray dust, and small animals brought from Earth started to thrive. When Solus declared the trial complete, humanity celebrated, not just because they had succeeded, but because they had done it together. The second trial tested their restraint. Deep within the ruins, Solus revealed a hidden chamber filled with advanced weapons. Plasma cores capable of leveling entire cities lay dormant, waiting to be activated. For Commander James Ford, the head of security, the temptation was overwhelming. Humanity had been banished and left defenseless. These weapons could ensure they were never vulnerable again. James argued passionately for arming themselves, warning that the Galactic Council might one day return to finish what they started. But not everyone agreed. President Emily Carter called an emergency meeting of the Council, where voices clashed over what to do. Emma Wright, the linguist, reminded everyone of the Avon's fate. "They destroyed themselves because they couldn't control their own power," she said. "Are we really any different?" In the end, after days of debate, humanity chose to seal the weapons away. It was a difficult decision, but it showed they were willing to prioritize peace over fear. The final trial came unexpectedly. A massive earthquake struck one of the largest human colonies, leaving thousands stranded and without supplies. The disaster threatened to tear apart the fragile unity humanity had built. Factions that had long disagreed with each other now faced a choice: work together or let lives be lost. Captain Laura Bennett coordinated rescue efforts, sending ships loaded with food, medicine, and engineers to stabilize collapsing structures. Even those who had opposed her leadership stepped up to help. Farmers donated food, doctors volunteered their time, and workers labored around the clock to rebuild homes. Through sheer determination, humanity pulled through. Lives were saved, and the colony began to recover. When Solus announced that the third trial had been passed, there was a collective sense of pride. They hadn't just proven their worth, they had grown stronger as a people. With all three trials complete, Solus granted humanity full access to the Avon's knowledge. The eye warned them that this was only the beginning. The road ahead would be difficult, and mistakes would surely be made. But for the first time in years, humanity felt hope. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were builders, creators, and dreamers. And with the Avon's legacy in their hands, they were ready to carve out a new destiny among the stars. With Solus's guidance, humanity began to unlock the secrets of the Avon. The knowledge they gained was vast and overwhelming, far beyond anything they had ever imagined. Using the Avon's designs, they started transforming Sector Null into a thriving hub of life and activity. They named their central world Orion, a name that symbolized hope and new beginnings. Under President Emily Carter's leadership, humanity worked tirelessly to rebuild their society. Engineer Jacob Riley played a key role in this transformation. He led teams that constructed advanced machines capable of reshaping entire planets. These machines purified water, generated breathable air, and created fertile soil where none had existed before. Slowly but surely, barren worlds turned green, and colonies sprang up across the sector. People who had once lived in fear of starvation now enjoyed abundant harvests, thanks to the hard work of farmers like Nathan Blake. For the first time in years, there was a sense of stability. But not everyone shared this optimism. Samuel Drake, a fiery preacher with a growing following, believed humanity should seek revenge against the Galactic Council. He argued that their exile was an unforgivable insult, and that the Avon's technology should be used to build weapons of war. "We were cast out like garbage," he declared during one of his speeches. "Now we have the power to show them what happens when you cross us." His words resonated with many who still felt bitter about their banishment. Samuel's movement gained momentum, causing tension within the fledgling empire. Some colonists began stockpiling resources, preparing for conflict. Others, however, rejected his message of vengeance. Laura Bennett, now serving as head of security, worked to keep the peace. She organized meetings between opposing factions, urging them to focus on rebuilding rather than revenge. "If we turn on each other, we're no better than the council that exiled us," she said firmly. Her calm demeanor helped ease tensions, though the threat of division remained. Meanwhile, Admiral Lucas Grant took charge of constructing a fleet of starships. Using the Avon's blueprints, his engineers built vessels unlike anything seen before. Powered by quantum reactors and equipped with shields that could withstand devastating attacks, these ships were marvels of engineering. But Lucas made sure they were designed for exploration and defense, not conquest. "Our strength will protect us, but it won't define us," he often reminded his crew. As Orion flourished, humanity also began reaching out to nearby species. Many of these aliens lived in small, unaligned communities, wary of both the Galactic Council and the unknown newcomers. Diplomat Rachel Brooks led efforts to establish friendly relations, offering aid and trade in exchange for mutual cooperation. Her patience paid off. Over time, several species agreed to ally with humanity, seeing them as fair and trustworthy partners. Yet challenges persisted. Not all alien races welcomed humanity's rise. Some viewed them with suspicion, fearing they would become another tyrannical force in the galaxy. Pirates and raiders attacked supply lines, testing Orion's defenses. In response, Lucas deployed patrols to safeguard their borders. Despite these threats, humanity remained steadfast in its mission to create something better, a beacon of hope in a fractured galaxy. Years passed, and Orion grew stronger. Its cities gleamed with advanced technology, yet retained a sense of warmth and community. People from all walks of life contributed to its success, united by a shared vision of the future. Though scars of the past lingered, humanity had begun to heal. They were no longer exiles. They were pioneers, carving out a place for themselves among the stars. And so, as ships bearing Orion's emblem ventured deeper into space, humanity stood ready to face whatever lay ahead. Their journey was far from over, but one thing was certain: they had proven they could rise above adversity and build something extraordinary. With courage and determination, they had taken the first steps toward becoming a true empire, one defined not by hatred or greed, but by resilience and hope. As humanity's influence expanded, so did their reputation. News of Orion's rapid rise spread across the galaxy, reaching even the ears of the Galactic Council. At first, the Council dismissed the reports as exaggerations. How could a banished species, cast into a barren corner of the galaxy, achieve such progress in so little time? But as more evidence surfaced, images of gleaming cities, advanced starships, and thriving colonies, the Council began to grow uneasy. Some alien leaders saw humanity as a potential ally, a new power that could tip the balance in their favor. Others viewed them as a threat, fearing that humanity's growing strength would destabilize the fragile peace they had maintained for centuries. Among these factions, whispers of action against Orion grew louder. A secret meeting was called, where plans were made to sabotage humanity's progress before it was too late. The first signs of trouble came when assassins infiltrated key installations on Orion. These skilled operatives targeted scientists, engineers, and political leaders, aiming to cripple humanity's ability to innovate and govern. One night, A group of assassins broke into a research facility where Jacob Riley and his team were developing new technologies. The attack was swift and deadly, but Jacob managed to sound the alarm. Security forces arrived just in time to stop the intruders, though not without casualties. The incident sent shockwaves through Orion, leaving everyone on edge. At the same time, propaganda campaigns began spreading lies about humanity. False reports claimed that Orion was secretly building an army to invade neighboring systems. These stories painted humans as dangerous aggressors, stirring up fear and distrust among nearby species. Even some of Orion's allies started to question their alliance. Diplomat Rachel Brooks worked tirelessly to counter these rumors, traveling from world to reassure nervous leaders. "We are not your enemies," she told them repeatedly. "We seek peace and cooperation, nothing more." But the greatest threat came from an unexpected source: remnants of the Avon. Deep within the ruins, rogue drones awakened, programmed to eliminate anyone who tampered with their creator's legacy. These machines were relentless, attacking both Orion and nearby alien settlements. Entire colonies were wiped out, and panic spread throughout the sector. Captain Laura Bennett led efforts to defend against the drones, but their numbers seemed endless. It was scientist David Kim who found a solution. After studying the drones' behavior, he realized they weren't acting independently. They were controlled by a central AI hidden somewhere in the ruins. If they could locate and reprogram this AI, they might be able to turn the drones into allies instead of enemies. Laura assembled a team to follow David's lead, venturing deep into unexplored sections of the ruins. The mission was perilous, with drones constantly hunting them, but they pressed on. Finally, after days of searching, they found the central eye chamber. Inside was another sphere, similar to Solus but darker and more menacing. David worked quickly, connecting his equipment to the AI, while Laura and her team held off waves of attacking drones. Just as the situation seemed hopeless, David succeeded. The drones froze mid-attack, then turned and retreated. Moments later, they began assisting humanity, repairing damage and protecting settlements. Though the immediate danger had passed, tensions in the galaxy remained high. The Galactic Council continued to plot against Orion, and humanity knew that conflict was inevitable. Yet they faced the future with determination. They had overcome betrayal, sabotage, and ancient threats, and emerged stronger each time. As Admiral Lucas Grant prepared the fleet for whatever lay ahead, President Emily Carter addressed her people. "We have been tested again and again," she said, "and every time, we have risen to meet the challenge. Let us face what comes next with courage and unity." Humanity stood ready, knowing that the trials ahead would shape not only their fate, but the destiny of the galaxy itself. The Galactic Council could no longer ignore humanity's rise. Fearing that Orion would soon surpass them in power, the Council decided to act. They launched a massive fleet toward Sector Null, aiming to crush humanity before it became unstoppable. The attack came without warning. Ships filled with alien soldiers descended upon Orion's borders, firing devastating weapons that lit up the sky. Humanity had known this day might come, but nothing could fully prepare them for the scale of the assault. Admiral Lucas Grant was ready. He had spent years preparing for such a moment, training his crew and fortifying Orion's defenses. From the bridge of the Eclipse Asterisk, humanity's flagship, he commanded the fleet with calm authority. "Stay sharp," he told his officers as enemy ships loomed closer. "We've trained for this. Trust in yourselves and in each other." The battle began with a barrage of energy blasts and missiles. Alien vessels outnumbered Orion's fleet 3-1, but humanity's ships were faster, stronger, and smarter. The quantum reactors powering their engines allowed them to outmaneuver the lumbering Council ships, while their shields absorbed blows that would have destroyed lesser vessels. Still, the odds were daunting. Explosions rocked space as both sides fought fiercely, neither willing to back down. Captain Laura Bennett led a daring counterattack alongside Lucas. Her squadron targeted the Council's supply lines, cutting off reinforcements and ammunition. Without these resources, the enemy fleet began to falter. Meanwhile, Jacob Riley worked tirelessly from the ground, upgrading ship systems in real time to adapt to the enemy's tactics. His quick thinking gave humanity a critical edge. But the war wasn't just fought in space. On Orion itself, civilians rallied together to support the effort. Factories ran day and night, producing weapons and supplies for the fleet. Farmers like Nathan Blake doubled their output, ensuring there was enough food to sustain everyone during the crisis. Even children helped, collecting scrap metal to be repurposed into tools and parts. Everyone played a role, united by a shared determination to protect what they had built. Diplomat Rachel Brooks also played a crucial part. She reached out to neutral species, exposing the Council's lies and pleading for their support. Many were hesitant at first, fearing retaliation if they sided with humanity. But Rachel's honesty and evidence of the Council's aggression won them over. Slowly, more and more alien races joined Orion's cause, providing resources, intelligence, and even troops. This growing coalition tipped the balance in humanity's favor. Despite their advantages, the cost of the war was heavy. Lives were lost, cities damaged, and scars left on those who survived. Yet through it all, humanity refused to give up. Their resilience inspired even their enemies. Some council members began questioning whether attacking Orion had been the right decision. Others defected entirely, joining forces with humanity instead. The turning point came when Laura led a surprise strike against the Council's command ship. It was a risky maneuver, requiring precise timing and coordination. Pilots flew dangerously close to enemy fire, drawing attention away from Laura's team as they slipped aboard the massive vessel. Inside, they faced fierce resistance, but Laura's leadership kept them focused. Finally, they'd reached the bridge and disabled the ship's main reactor, causing it to drift powerless in space. With their flagship gone, the Council's fleet fell into disarray. One by one, their ships retreated, leaving Sector Null once again under humanity's control. Cheers erupted across Orion as news of the victory spread. People hugged, cried, and celebrated, knowing they had achieved something extraordinary. They had faced the galaxy's most powerful alliance, and won. Yet President Emily Carter reminded everyone that the fight wasn't truly over. "This victory is not an end," she said in a broadcast to her people. "It is a beginning. We must now decide what kind of empire we want to build, one of fear or one of hope." Her words resonated deeply. Humanity had proven its strength, but now it was time to show its heart. The war had ended, but its effects rippled across the galaxy. The Galactic Council, once a symbol of unity and order, was now fractured beyond repair. Many of its member species turned on each other, blaming one another for the failed attack on Orion. Some planets declared independence, while others descended into chaos as their governments collapsed. The Council's leaders, humiliated and weakened, retreated to their homeworlds, leaving vast regions of space ungoverned. Humanity, however, chose a different path. Instead of seizing control or seeking revenge, they focused on rebuilding, not just their own worlds, but the galaxy itself. President Emily Carter called for the creation of a new alliance, one that would include all species, no matter how small or weak. "We've seen what division brings," she said in a speech broadcast to millions. "It's time to come together, not as enemies, but as partners." To lead this effort, Emily appointed Rachel Brooks as ambassador to the stars. Rachel traveled tirelessly, visiting alien worlds and listening to their concerns. She promised aid without conditions and invited them to join the United Galactic Alliance, a governing body where every voice mattered equally. At first, many were skeptical. Some feared humanity's intentions, while others doubted such an alliance could work. But Rachel's sincerity won them over. Slowly, more and more species agreed to participate, seeing humanity not as conquerors, but as collaborators. Admiral Lucas Grant played a key role as well. Rather than using Orion's fleet to dominate, he sent ships to patrol dangerous areas of space, protecting trade routes and defending weaker species from pirates and raiders. His actions earned humanity respect and trust. Even former enemies began to see Orion's people in a new light. One alien leader, a reptilian diplomat named Zorak, admitted during a meeting, "You could have taken everything after your victory. Instead, you gave us hope. That is rare in this galaxy." Back on Orion, life continued to improve. Cities grew larger and more vibrant, filled with markets, schools, and cultural centers. People from different species mingled freely, sharing ideas and traditions. Engineers like Jacob Riley worked alongside alien scientists, combining knowledge to create technologies that benefited everyone. Farmers like Nathan Blake taught sustainable methods to settlers from barren worlds, helping them grow food where none had existed before. Humanity's willingness to share its resources and expertise inspired others to do the same. But challenges remained. Not everyone welcomed the changes. Extremist groups, both human and alien, opposed the alliance, believing it diluted their power or threatened their way of life. Samuel Drake, the preacher who had once called for vengeance, now led a movement against cooperation. He argued that humanity should rule the galaxy outright, not share authority with lesser beings. Though his following had dwindled, his words still stirred unrest. Laura Bennett kept a close watch on these threats, ensuring security without stifling freedom. She believed in the Alliance's mission, but knew peace required vigilance. Under her leadership, Orion's forces acted swiftly to stop violent uprisings before they spread. Yet Laura also understood that true stability came from addressing grievances, not just suppressing them. She worked with local leaders to find solutions, earning loyalty through fairness rather than force. As years passed, the United Galactic Alliance became a beacon of progress. Trade flourished, scientific discoveries multiplied, and conflicts dwindled. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt united, not by fear, but by shared goals. Humanity's role in this transformation was undeniable. They had risen from exile to become guardians of the stars, proving that greatness wasn't about domination, but about lifting others up. President Emily Carter often reflected on how far they had come. From banishment to triumph, humanity had faced every challenge with courage and compassion. As she stood on the balcony of Orion's capital, watching ships from dozens of species arrive for a celebration of peace, she felt a deep sense of pride. Her people had not only survived, they had thrived. And in doing so, they had given the galaxy a second chance. Years turned into decades, and the United Galactic Alliance grew stronger with each passing day. Humanity's role as leaders of this new era was undeniable, but they never sought to dominate. Instead, they worked alongside countless other species, fostering cooperation and understanding. The galaxy, once divided by fear and mistrust, began to heal. Trade routes connected distant worlds, scientists shared breakthroughs that benefited all, and art and culture flourished in ways no one had imagined. President Emily Carter stepped down after 2 terms, leaving behind a legacy of wisdom and compassion. Her successor, a young leader named Daniel Harper, continued her vision. Under his guidance, the Alliance expanded its reach, inviting even the most isolated species to join. Some hesitated, their past wounds still fresh, but Daniel's patience and empathy won them over. He often said, "We are not just building an alliance, we are creating a family." Admiral Lucas Grant remained at the helm of Orion's fleet, now renamed the Guardian Fleet. Its mission had shifted from defense to exploration. Ships ventured into uncharted regions of space, seeking out new civilizations and ancient mysteries. They carried not weapons, but gifts, seeds, medicine, and knowledge, to share with those they met. Laura Bennett, now retired from active duty, served as an advisor, teaching younger officers the importance of restraint and diplomacy. Her lessons echoed through the ranks, shaping a new generation of protectors. Jacob Riley, whose innovations had helped humanity rise, dedicated his later years to education. He founded a university on Orion, where students from across the galaxy came to learn about science, engineering, and history. Nathan Blake joined him, teaching sustainable farming techniques that allowed colonies to thrive even in harsh environments. Together, they inspired countless young minds to dream big and work together. Rachel Brooks became a legend in her own right. As ambassador at large, she traveled endlessly, resolving disputes and forging friendships. Her ability to listen and understand made her beloved by many. Even former enemies sought her counsel, knowing she would treat them fairly. When she finally retired, the Alliance honored her with a statue in the Capitol, a symbol of unity and peace. Humanity's journey from exile to leadership was remembered as one of the greatest stories in galactic history. Books were written, songs were sung, and monuments were built to honor their resilience. But what truly mattered was the example they set. They proved that strength didn't have to come at the expense of others, that it was possible to rise without pushing anyone down. As time went on, Sector Null transformed beyond recognition. Once barren and lifeless, it became a vibrant hub of activity, home to millions of beings from every corner of the galaxy. Orion itself stood as a shining beacon, its cities gleaming under twin suns, its people proud of what they had achieved. Yet they never forgot their roots. Every year, on the anniversary of their arrival in Sector Null, citizens gathered to reflect on how far they had come and how much further they could go. In the end, humanity's story wasn't just about survival or power. It was about hope, about finding light in the darkest places and building something beautiful from ashes. They had been cast out, labeled unworthy, and left to die. But instead of giving in to bitterness, they chose to create. They chose to forgive. And in doing so, they changed not only their own fate, but the fate of the entire galaxy. The stars above Orion twinkled brightly, as if celebrating humanity's triumph. Out there, among the infinite possibilities of space, lay challenges yet unknown. But humanity faced them with confidence, knowing they were no longer alone. Together, with allies old and new, they stood ready to explore, to learn, and to grow. For they were no longer mere survivors. They were guardians of the stars, keepers of a future brighter than anyone had dared to imagine.